like this one. I'm going to read it word for word because I want to do it justice and less to do. It's only 6 lines. So projections from a higher dimension is one of the other theories. So if
we're going Anunnaki.
if you project light from an n-dimensional world to a lower world, it appears in the lower one as if it had lost a dimension. An example would be shining a torch on a 3D ball creates a shadow on the wall, which has gone from 3D to 2D.
Yeah. Okay.
So, what would projection into our 3D world from a 4D world look like? Following the same logic, the maths shows, it would appear as a solid object. So from a 4D to a 3D would be in a 3D world. Since we can't interact or be aware of the fourth dimension, just as inhabitants of a flatland can't interact with a third dimension, it may be possible our 3D world is entirely made up of these higher dimensional projections. So we are nothing more than continuous projections from a 4D world.
But isn't the fourth dimension, so 3 dimension is height, breadth and width.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't the fourth dimension time?
I thought we'd found 7 or 8 dimensions already.
Yeah, but it's generally considered the fourth dimension is time.
I think it means it's in a different way. I think it's just trying to show.
We can observe time, we can see time, we can observe it, therefore we live in a fourth dimensional world. We have height, breadth and width.
But time is a man-made construct.
No, time is a natural construct. The measurement of time is a man-made construct. Putting time into 24 hours a day, 60 minutes, 6 seconds a minute, 60 minutes an hour, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, that's a man-made construct. That's a way of man measuring time. It's like saying, we measure gravity in newtons. Well, gravity is a man-made construct because man made the scale of measurement.
But time is different. If we were living on the moon or living on Mars, our time would be a completely different measurement. The universe would be measured in a different way.
Yeah, this is why sci-fi has time. The decent sci-fi film has time measured in sols rather than days, because we realise that we're going to have a central point of time. But time is not a man-made construct. The way of measuring time is a man-made construct.
Yes.
So I mean, 60 minutes in an hour, 60 hours, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 24 hours in a day, 365 days in a year.
But that's just based upon the Earth's orbit.
Yeah, that's a man-made construct. Yes. Time is existing. It exists in physics.
Well, time doesn't exist when the light exists. We base time based upon the speed of light.
Atoms decaying. Uranium radiation decay. We can measure something's radiation by its uranium by its decay.
But why does that have to be based on a time construct?
Because it's something that happens over a period, therefore time is a thing.
But time's only measured in the way that we construct.
Yeah, no, so the measurement of time is man-made, but time exists as a force.
Different conversation, but okay.
Time exists because you can't. Well, why does it take a million years for a uranium isotope to decay?
Well, time stops existing if it can go faster than light.
Yeah, but nothing can go faster than light according to our science at the moment. But even though you don't go to possibility, we know yesterday happened. Yesterday happened.
Well,
you lived it, you experienced it, it happened.
However, if you look back at the stars, what I can see now, if I look at a star now, that is something from 1 million years ago. So yesterday didn't happen to that star based upon the power of
but yesterday happened to you. So time exists.
But if I get in the car, I time travel.
Right. No, time exists.
Time is a man-made construct.
The measurement of time is a man-made. The way we measure time on Earth might be different to the way we measure time on Jupiter or the different galaxies. Right. So the measurement of time, but time exists. Yesterday happened. You can't be that. Yesterday happened. That's fact.
If I was on Jupiter, yesterday might not happen because yesterday would be 3 days long.
But it still happened.
Yesterday still be today.
But your 24-hour period that I'm calling today might be like, so you're talking about one day on Earth might be 4 days on Jupiter or whatever.
Whatever, right? The same day, yeah.
Right. That still segment 24 hours still happened.
Only because we created it.
No, it still happened.
We created that time period, that time box. We made it ourselves.
Yeah, the measurement of time is a man-made construct.
Therefore, if we create time in a man-made construct, time doesn't exist.
So if you don't believe yesterday happened, it still fucking happened, whether you believe it didn't or it doesn't.
Depends on the level we're talking about. If we're talking about...
No, it doesn't. It happened. Yesterday happened. Yesterday happened to you. You did things yesterday. Things happened yesterday.
Oh, to me,
yeah, to you personally. Things happened to you yesterday. Now, whether you want to put them into a 24-hour Earth cycle or a soul cycle or whatever frame of time you put it into is a man-made construct. But you can go, oh, I have no man-made construct of time. It still happened.
Okay.
So that's a scientific fact. That's something we can observe yesterday happening, and today is different to yesterday. We can observe time moving. So time is not a man-made. The measurement of time is a man-made construct, but time is a fourth dimension in the universe because time happens. Like we go, oh, time's a man-made construct. All right, brilliant. So what about the 6 billion years before, after the Big Bang, when man didn't exist? Did none of that happen? Because time didn't exist. There's a period of time where gases exploded and cooled and formed planets and formed galaxies and solar systems and stars, and none of that exists because man went around to create the concept of time. So do they all happen at once, or do they happen over a period of time?
Well, if man wasn't there to track it, time didn't exist.
No, time exists. It's just man's measurement of time is a man-made construct.
Time only exists if it's observed.
But it happened for millions of years without anyone to observe
it. But if there's no humans here to observe it, how did time exist?
Because one thing follows another, therefore time has to happen.
If a person wasn't here with a watch, as an example, if no organic life forms existed under any circumstances to track that time didn't exist.
But it did exist.
How do you know?
Because the Big Bang happened.
How do you know?
Right, so
there's no one here to observe it.
Like we can look back and see how the Big Bang happened and
we can.
The universe expanded and it created planets. And there was no one around to observe it happening.
So therefore it didn't exist till it's
But it happened. We can prove it happened.
But we talked earlier about atoms that or certain behaviours of atoms that unless they're observed they behave completely differently.
Mm-hmm.
Observation is the creation of time, not time itself. We don't know time exists unless it's observed.
No, time does exist. It's a scientific fact. Time. The man-made construct. It's where it gets me wrong. When people go, time's a man-made construct. No, putting time into 60-second blocks and 60-minute blocks and 365-day blocks is a man-made construct. The way we measure time is a man-made construct, but time exists whether we measure it or not.
But time exists only if someone's here to observe it.
No, it doesn't. The Big Bang happened. The universe was created over billions of years. There was no one to observe it happening. No, but it still happened.
We created that time construct because we can observe it. But
so you're saying the Big Bang happened and the universe just appeared and the solar system was there and human. And
I'm saying time started existing through observation. Time didn't exist until we observed it.
So that primordial soup had a watch. That lizard that crawled out onto the beach and grew legs and became apes and evolved into humans, they had watches and they had a concept of time.
No.
But that happened over 1 million years.
But they could observe.
That happened over time.
Yeah.
They had no concept of time, they didn't know what time was, but it still happened over time. Whether they could observe time, but it still happened over time.
But we created the time schedule ourselves.
No, I'm saying the way we measure time is man-made, but coming out of the ocean to the planets being formed, the Big Bang, the planets being formed, that happened over time. The evolution of single-celled organisms in the sea that crawled out onto the beach, that became bipedal, that became apes, that became man, that happened over time. Didn't happen in a single day, that happened over time.
Correct.
But there was no one there to observe that time.
So they had no conscious idea of time.
But it still happened over time.
But they didn't know time existed.
But you're saying time can't exist unless someone observes it.
Correct.
But these events still happened over time without anyone having any concept of time to observe it with.
Without a concept
so
of time.
they couldn't have happened then.
So a concept of time has to be a conscious thing.
So these things didn't happen over time.
They happen because we can observe them now and give a time.
Did they happen over time? They happened, but these are millions of years between these. So these things happened over time.
So what if the amoeba died?
No, we're saying like the amoeba came out of the sea and it multiplied and blah 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 blah, and it walked up onto the beach, grew legs, became an ape. Those things happened over time.
Yes.
With nobody to observe them. No one who had a conscious idea of time observed that.
So time didn't exist.
But they happened over time. It took 1 million years for that to happen.
However, if the
so it still happened in time.
No, but if the amoeba died.
But it didn't die.
No, but let's just say the amoeba died there and then before humans could start. Time didn't exist because it was not observable.
But it did die, and it went on to evolve into land-based mammals who went
Correct.
on to become
And
Homo
because
sapiens.
we can observe things time's created.
We couldn't observe that salamander that came onto the beach with legs. Couldn't observe time. Those apes have no concept of time.
Mm-hmm.
So millions of years of evolution went on with no concept of time.
Yep.
But they happened over time.
It happened.
It happened over time. It took 1 million years to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saying time can't exist because no one's there to observe it.
Time is observational.
But it happened over 1 million. We can. This scientific proof it happened over millions of years.
Yeah, but time still.
Time happened. You can't argue that. I'm getting really. Like, you're saying time can't happen unless we've got a conscious awareness of time or someone observes time.
Mm-hmm.
But we were 10, 12 million years into our evolution.
This is still a big philosophical debate which can't be disproved. That time can't exist without conscious observation.
But time happened.
But only because it's observed.
But it wasn't observed at the point. When that salamander came out of the sea and grew legs and then over 1 million years became an ape and all that lot,
Yeah.
there was no conscious
knowledge
of time.
So,
but it still happened.
But there was no conscious knowledge of time existing.
That doesn't matter, it still happened. It happened regardless of whether there's a conscious. It happened over 1 million years happened. Whether you're conscious of it or aware of it doesn't matter because it still happened.
I completely understand what you're saying. I'm trying to.
There's 1 million years of life, and like you're going, well, 1 million years of life can happen because of no one consciously aware of time to observe it. Therefore, time doesn't matter. There's 1 million years of evolution. I can show you 1 million years of evolution that happened before we were aware of time.
So the idea of does the universe exist if we're not looking? The answer is no. It doesn't exist until we look. So that's the idea.
But the salamander's looking. The salamander knows it exists. The salamander knows it's there.
But
The apes that grow on the beach know that. Your argument is that there's no concept of time unless man is there to witness it.
So
where did man come from?
We'll probably have to cut a huge part of this video out, but I'll show you this. So it's a massive philosophical debate. Would the universe still exist if no life existed to observe it? It's a massive debate, and it's still not being discussed. It's still not being.
I know the debate you're going on, but I see a massive flaw in your argument that time is not existing unless there's someone to observe it. Well, we have millions of years of proof that time existed without people observing it.
Well, we're going to have to cut a big chunk of that. That's a debate that we should have taken under. No, but I'm saying that from a... whether I believe what I'm saying or not isn't the point. What I'm saying is the debate is on time is if it's not there to be observed, time doesn't exist if it's not being observed. The universe doesn't exist unless it's being observed. The time itself can't exist if it's not being observed.
Yeah, but observed by what is a different thing.
But we're conscious and we can observe it.
Can an amoeba observe it?
No.
Can a salamander observe it?
It has no concept of time.
But they evolved over 1 million years.
But they
Amoeba
still don't have a concept of time.
Yeah, but time still happened.
But it has no concept of time. It doesn't observe time, so therefore time doesn't exist until it becomes conscious. That's the problem that science exists. That's the problem in science. That's what I'm trying to say.
But time did happen because it took 1 million years to go from amoeba to a salamander that one on the beach. So 1 million years did happen.
Because we can observe it. So we know it exists because we can observe it. But until we can observe it, time didn't exist.
So going from a single organism as the seed to being self-aware a minute of time happened on fucking one random Tuesday, it all happened in one day because time is not important because we want them to observe. So the 1 million years before didn't happen.
All I'm saying is, I'm just saying, if you look